Welcome to the Psych Gym. I'm your trainer, Vanessa Perry, a former mental health therapist turned intuitive counselor. Much like a physical gym, in this space we'll aim to target specific psychological muscles and train them to be stronger. I'm so glad you are joining this gym. Let's hit the weights. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Psych Gym. I'm your trainer, Vanessa, and sorry for the delay. I just did not plan very well for my birthday week and the week after the wedding. I had an amazing time. I have no regrets. It's all good on my end. But if you felt left hanging, I apologize for that. I will be better in the future. I'm learning as I go. So today we're gonna Taylor Swift again. Like I'm in such another Taylor Swift moment of my life. It's been a couple years at least since I felt like I was in her vibes, and I'm just like in her vibes lately. So that's what we're doing, okay? I am so fucking obsessed with her latest album. It's not even funny. I can hear it in my mind right now. That's how much I've listened to it. And I mean, I loved her. The first song, Teardrops on My Guitar, was the first one that I ever heard. And I was like, what is going on here? You know, I felt it in my heart and my soul. I was like, oh my God, Teardrops on My Guitar, even though I don't play it. Yeah, we go way back. And some of the music in between, you know, didn't hit me quite the same because of my life circumstances. But something I've always loved about her is that she's not afraid to speak on what's going on with her. So I'm taking a page from her book, or I'm taking lots of pages from her book, because a lot of these podcasts end up being things that I'm feeling personally connected to anyway, unless it's something given to me by a client. Rambling on. This is not helpful for any of y'all. Anyway, let's get into it. Today I want to talk about something we all experience. Really, we all do, but we rarely admit it for what it is. And that is our bruised ego. I am totally fine with telling you that mine is currently a little bruised, and that's why I want to talk about it. This can happen after many things: heartbreak, rejection, being passed over for something, realizing someone doesn't see us the way that we see ourselves. Yikes. And sometimes that's due to what we think, and sometimes that's because of what we've been told. Either way, man, does it suck. It's not just sadness, it's like a deeper feeling of, I thought I was more special than this. And that's what we're going to explore today. Not just how to get through it, but how to understand it better, heal in it, and grow from it as usual, right? Like that's what we do here in the Psych Gym. We grow our muscles, our emotional muscles. So let's start with this reminder about ego, because I know y'all, like, I know we're all trained that when we hear that word that we should feel super gross about it, and that we should be like, I don't have one. But in the psychological sense, the ego is the part of you that is tied to your identity, the I am. And through our beliefs and our programming, both the subconscious and the subconscious ones, that's all part of this ego that we're talking about. It's not that confident, boisterous thing that we think about. Okay, I want you to just suspend that reality and think about it. When we're talking about psychology, we're talking about the I am. We're talking about the I am and the I believe, I think, subconsciously and consciously. Again. So when your ego is healthy, you do feel some confidence. You feel directed. You feel stable. You feel pretty good about yourself and your place in the world in basically all the ways. You're not overly attached to it, though, in such a way that you have to exert your power over others. That's what we're talking about when we talk about ego most of the time, is that person who feels like they have to go and exert power or exert influence or somehow make themselves bigger than everybody else for their own benefit. That is not what we're talking about today. So we're just going to go ahead and get into that vibration while I start talking more about this. When our ego is bruised, though, it can actually feel like your whole sense of self is shaken. You can truly and suddenly start to feel like you're not who you thought you were, or you start to question how good you are, no matter how good you thought you were when you came into that situation. And of course, y'all know this comes up for me in relationships. Fucking what I came here to do in this soul lifetime, I guess. Heartbreak definitely bruises the ego because it reflects our identity, or it feels like love reflects our identity back to us, right? We feel some sort of value in someone else's feelings for us. And it, like, if you're feeling pretty good about yourself, it will elevate your already existing belief about yourself. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're immune to this though. just just so that we can remind ourselves of that, is that having a healthy ego doesn't mean being cold and unable to feel or be hurt. You'll hear that again later too, because I know I just wrote the script. But seriously, when someone leaves or withdraws, it's not just they don't love me anymore, right? That's part of it. We feel that. We feel like the loss of that love. But it also normally comes with a pretty unhealthy dose of who am I if I'm not a person that they are going to stay for or that they're going to keep choosing. We start to turn on ourselves, right? And that's the real wound. It's not really the absence of the other person, but it's the crumbling of the story we had about our desirability and sometimes about our lovability. It isn't that that person isn't important, and I'm for sure not saying that, but I do think that this is one of the bigger wounds when we're feeling rejected, is that feeling about ourselves. It's almost like it's interchangeable, whoever it is that rejects us, right? If we feel the same way we feel about them, then that rejection is going to make us feel some type of way about not being chosen. But in the sense of this, I just want to, it's not about like, hey, you're unimportant and this is all about me, because we do love individual people and they are important and they are special as well. So just want to put that out there. The feeling of hurt can overshadow the feelings we have for that person, though, sometimes. And this is how spite shows up for me. I can be upset with the person's audacity, but I also feel this bruised ego situation more strongly, right? So it's both. It's both. It's both. You know what? You're not that important. I mean, you are, obviously, if you triggered all this. But more than anything, it's how I now see myself now that I'm not important to you. Okay. So that's part of it. And of course, I'm talking from a relationship standpoint, but this happens in a lot of different ways, right? So our ego doesn't get broken or bruised just in relationships. Sometimes it's a failed business venture, which, if y'all have followed me, you've seen how many times I have started and I don't even want to say failed, because I don't feel like I failed in those ways, but just watching how the evolution was, oh no, not that. Oh no, not that. Oh, that's not working. Oh, that's cringy. I don't want to do it. Right. So I could see those, and I did see those sometimes as a reflection of me and my worthiness. And that's, the I am. That's my ego. So my ego would take a hit, like, oh God, you put yourself out there and now you gotta like take yourself back out. Damn it. Like, you failed. What's everybody gonna see? Right. So that's an ego bruise. Sometimes it's something like not getting a job. You'll have a really good interview and then you just like don't get the job. Sometimes the ego bruise comes from watching someone else succeed where we tried really hard and we just didn't get as far as they did. And that comes with a little side of envy or jealousy, doesn't it? So all of these bruise the ego in different ways. They all seem to say things to us along the same lines, though. You're not who you thought you were, or you're not as awesome or as special as you thought, right? Gosh, a mean little voice in there that'll say things like that. And the shit that follows that mean little voice, sometimes for me, that sucks worse than the original issue. The desire to prove ourselves or to make the other person regret it, the chasing, the negotiations, that's the ego's attempt to get back what feels like a place of being valuable and valid. It's saying, let me get back to what made me feel worthy, important, or special. And this is like, ugh. It's such an ick when I go backwards and look at myself. When I go back and like read my text messages of negotiation, or this or that, and it's like, oh God, no, or this or that, what are you doing? right? But in that moment, that feeling of grasping and saying, I want you to see me the way that you used to see me, or I want you to see me as special because that's what I thought I was. And I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to lose you, but I also don't want to lose how that felt. Right. And so we'll sometimes chase that. Absolutely. And it's okay. And we don't have to feel bad to the core about it. But yes, sometimes it can be looking back and going, oh, yikes. Okay. That's what happened. So, speaking of that, the ego bruise, it can show out in many ways. It can come out as anger, it can come out as obsession, or that desperate chase for closure, attention, or reconciliation, like I was just talking about. There's lots of room for overthinking, which is for sure a thing I do in these cases. Replaying the last conversation, analyzing every single detail, rereading text to see what could have been different, checking social media, fantasizing about how to get them to realize your worth. And again, I feel like I'm saying a lot of this in a relationship scope, but hopefully you're able to think about this in all the different ways, right? Like all the ways that we would maybe overanalyze a transaction or an interaction with somebody, and how we're talking about what we didn't get and why, and turning on ourselves. So yeah, this is going to come out a little bit relationshipy because that's coming from me right now, from what I'm most familiar with personally in this moment. But y'all, it can happen in so many different ways. But that underlying feeling is the same. So if you need a little bit of more clarification, absolutely, please message me. If you're somebody that works with me already, bring it up. Bring it up in session. We'll talk about it. And anyway, beneath all that, we find other feelings, though. We find grief and something that people do not like to talk about: humiliation. A lot of people don't even really like that word because it's not the same as embarrassment. Embarrassment is like low level, humiliation is deep. It's like deep, deep, deep. It's an awful feeling sometimes of being unchosen, unseen, or replaced. Sometimes we feel foolish. For a long time for me, it felt like if I was rejected or if things didn't work out, I would feel like a fool for believing in it or for hyping up the guy or the situation, right? Again, it's not just about relationships. Sometimes it's about the situation, a job, a move, whatever it is, as if I shouldn't get excited about things, right? Like the clarity that comes afterwards, like, so you weren't supposed to be excited at all. How is that going to work? But also, especially in relationships, I just wanted to feel like I was too smart to get played. And that for sure is how humiliation comes into play for me, right? Like I want to be smarter than that. But like, what? How is it my fault if somebody's a really good manipulator, right? That's there though. It is, again, humiliation is one of the hardest human emotions to feel because it does touch such a deep human place. Our ego interprets that rejection as an erasure of self. So then we'll often scramble to rebuild our sense of self or importance. And sometimes that will come through control, validation, or, at times revenge fantasies. Happens. Healing really starts when we can notice the impulse and interrupt it to introduce new thoughts and beliefs about situations, right? Everybody knows the pause. The pause is so important. We sit in the pause. We say, hey, what's really going on right now? And what could actually be going on otherwise if I think about it? And do I really have to do the next thing that I thought I had to do automatically? Or is that something I'm trying to interrupt and replace with something else? It's also really helpful that, we're doing this work because we want to be able to see ourselves from the inside out, not from the outside in. And that's how we help from these ego hits taking over ourselves. And this is where the good stuff starts to happen. A bruised ego is a call to meet your inner being and sense of self. So where your ego will say, I'm lovable because I was chosen, our inner being is saying, I'm lovable because I exist as who I am. The ego might say, I failed. And then our inner being might say, I learned something important from this that helps me be better. The ego will build identity around external things. Our inner being builds our self around growth, internal strength, and our soul desire. So when you begin to shift from ego to inner self, the heartbreak becomes less about losing status or that validation and more about reclaiming yourself, giving yourself an opportunity to reclaim yourself. You stop asking, why wasn't I enough? And instead, just look at what was and see maybe what wasn't aligned, or if you were self-abandoning for the sake of a relationship. Maybe you start to see that you yourself were invested in surface level things as well. And again, that can be in terms of a job, it can be in terms of a house, it can be in terms of anything, right? That we might actually look at ourselves and say, what was I really invested in here? What was I really following? And so there are a lot of things that come from the calm clarity of working through the inner self over that external force factor during this ego bruise moment. And it's not even really an ego death, it's an ego integration. But that's a good topic for a podcast. Ego death. Real time. Watch for that soon. I'm going to write that down and we're going to talk about ego death at some point. So Vanessa, how do we actually heal this? Thank you for telling us all about the ways. Healing a bruised ego is not glam and it is not fun. It's not really that glow up energy yet. It's quiet. It's very humbling and it's usually pretty messy. But I'll give you a rough outline of how to kind of start conceptualizing this. So first, we want to name the bruise honestly. This is our investigation discovery phase. Y'all who work with me know that this is number one always. You figure it out. You figure out what exactly is going on. And we're going to say it out loud. That hurt my pride. That ghosting made me feel worthless and replaceable. The more raw truth you bring, the better. We're not doing surface level shit here, loves. We have to do it real or we're going to end up doing it later. Next, we're going to separate our worth from that simple circumstance. You're not meant to create a sense of self related to other people's choices. Their perception is not your reflection. It's their projection. Ooh, so many good feels with all that rhyming. Or it's simply just their own life interfering with your expectation or desires, right? We're getting real about what's really happening. We're going to stop ourselves, again, like in this pause, we're going to stop ourselves from trying to reclaim it. This is where I get hung up the most, y'all, for real. And I know I'm not alone in it because I sit with many people as they do it too. You don't need to win to prove you're worthy. You're not actually going to be able to do that in the real sense anyway, especially not if that person is showing no interest in receiving what you're bringing to them, which if you step back with objective eyes is pretty damn easy to see, right? If you have to do that, like we probably shouldn't be doing it. The healing part is that every time you resist that urge to prove something, your self-trust gets stronger. You continue to send a message to yourself that you're shining as who you are and that anyone you have to convince is a person you'll have to continue to convince because they did not see you for the amazing being you were from the start. And those people, the people who can see you for the amazing being you are from the start, are the ones we're trying to call in. They are the healthy ones we're trying to call in, the people that match us, not people we have to convince, not people we have to chase, not people who are blinded by our light. We don't want that. Why would you want to bring that back into your life? Don't try to reclaim somebody or something that is not viewing you as magnificent, because you are magnificent. And then lastly, we're going to reclaim only what the ego was looking for from the outside source. So what were we relying on that was being given to us? Validation, importance, feeling belonging. That's the work now. Not to never need it again, but to hold more of it within yourself. We love to get and enjoy validation. We love to feel important and chosen. We love to feel special and loved. Those are innate human needs too. It's when we outsource that to a level that exceeds our internal levels that we get into this cycle, right? And so we're trying not to do that, right? We're trying to keep that, most of that inside. Being humbled by shit like this sucks ass. I'm not going to romanticize this at you, but there's something also very sacred about the process. It returns you to truth about others and truth about ourselves. It shatters illusion. It shatters delusion, which is like my favorite place to live. The ego takes the hit, but the soul can reap the rewards from it if you let it. You start to see yourself and others with more compassion because you understand how fragile identity really is. And sometimes the bruising was the universe's way of saying, you've built too much of your worth around how others see you. Let's talk about how you see you so you can call in that vibration instead. Because, as an aside, let's not forget that how we feel about ourselves magnetizes people who feel the same, either about themselves or about others. So, healing a bruised ego doesn't mean being invincible or unfuckable with. It sounds cool though, right? It's like, oh my God, I want to be unfuckable with. That's ego protection though, really and truly. There's no way that is 100% possible as a human being if you're being authentic. You cannot escape pain or having your emotions touched by others. But we just learn to be more real and balanced, more aware of what we want and need, and knowing that we're always taking risks when we open up, but the reward is there too. So that's why we try to do it, right? When you do this work, you find yourself able to take those risks again, though. You try for a new job again. You move to a new state. You try love again. Not because you're certain that you'll be chosen, but because you know you can survive it if you're not. Bam. So good. So if you're walking around with a bruised ego, like your girl here, from love, from work, from life, just remember this isn't an evidence of your innate failure. It's evidence of your humanness. And I'm walking right beside y'all. My ego gets bruised too, and I have to do this work a lot because I'm actually not able to hold back anymore. I just run right into everything with an open ass heart, hoping for the best. So my ego takes a beating on a regular basis. But it does get easier the more you learn how to work through this. So thanks for listening today. If this resonated, make sure you share it with somebody else who maybe is suffering from the same thing. And just remember that all of our ego hits are opportunities for growing. And I want you all to grow. I want you all to feel that good feels of using some of these things that happen in our lives as a way to make ourselves feel better and be better and feel more like ourselves. So until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and thank you for letting me be your guide today. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.